Chosen ones. There is a moment in life when everything slows down. The noise fades, the distractions disappear, the excuses, the doubts, the endless waiting. It all dissolves into a single realization. This is it. This is the moment that determines whether you rise or fall, whether you claim what was meant for you or let it pass you by forever. You have been walking toward this moment for longer than you even realize. Every hardship, every sleepless night, every battle that left scars on your soul, it was all leading here. Some people think destiny happens to them. They believe it just arrives at their doorstep when the time is right, but that's not how it works. Destiny is a choice. It requires movement. It requires action. It requires a step. And now, the choice is staring you in the face. You don't have the luxury of waiting any longer. The path is clear, but the window is closing. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That unshakable pull in your spirit. That pressure building inside you, urging you forward, whispering that something massive is about to happen. That is not your imagination. That is not a random feeling. That is the call. The call that only a few ever receive. The call that only the chosen ones can hear. But receiving the call is not enough. Too many people hear it and still do nothing. They hesitate, they analyze, they ask for more signs, more proof, more assurance. But the truth is, you already have everything you need. God has been speaking to you in ways you can't even comprehend. The right words at the right time. The doors that closed when you didn't understand why. The delays that frustrated you but protected you. The moments that seemed unfair but were really your training ground. He has been setting you up for this. He has been preparing you to walk through the door that is now in front of you, but he won't drag you through it. That's not how this works. God doesn't force. He invites. He presents the opportunity, but you must decide. You must move. Because the truth is, if you don't take this step, someone else will. That's the part no one talks about. When you are called for greatness, the opportunity is yours, but only for a moment. If you refuse to move, if you delay, if you shrink back, that blessing can and will be passed to someone who is willing to step up. God's plan will always unfold, with or without you. The question is, will you be the one who steps into it? Will you be the one who refuses to let fear dictate your future? Because this is the final step. The moment that requires everything from you. There is no more waiting for the perfect time, no more sitting on the sidelines, hoping something will change on its own. No more praying for a miracle while refusing to move your feet. God has done his part. Now it's your turn. And make no mistake, this step will not be easy. It will not be comfortable. It will not come without risk. You will feel fear. You will hear the voice of doubt screaming at you, telling you that you're not ready, that you're not worthy, that it's too soon. That is the voice of the enemy. That is the voice of stagnation, and it is lying to you. Because if you weren't ready, you wouldn't be here. If you weren't meant to step forward, you wouldn't feel this urgency deep in your soul. The fact that you are standing in this moment, hearing these words, feeling this weight, that is the proof. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. But now comes the part that separates the chosen ones from the rest. The final step is always the hardest. It's the step that requires faith when nothing makes sense. It's the step that demands obedience, even when you can't see the outcome. It's the step that will determine whether you walk into your destiny or let it slip through your fingers. And the brutal truth is, most people fail right here. Not because they weren't called, not because they weren't capable, but because they hesitated, because they let fear outweigh faith, because they allowed comfort to become their prison. But comfort is a liar. Comfort will keep you small. Comfort will convince you that playing it safe is wisdom, when, in reality, it's just another form of bondage. You weren't chosen to live a safe, small, predictable life. You weren't called to blend in, to follow the crowd, to do what everyone else is doing. You were called to lead. You were called to break barriers, to shatter generational cycles, to do what no one in your bloodline has done before. But that kind of calling comes with a price, and the price is this: you must move when God says move. You must step even when your knees are shaking. You must trust even when the outcome is uncertain. That is what separates those who are merely called from those who are actually chosen. The chosen ones don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait for fear to disappear. They don't wait for everyone to understand or support them. They simply move. And because they move, they win. So now, here you are. The final step is right in front of you, and there is no one else who can take it for you. No one can believe for you. No one can act for you. No one can cross this threshold but you. And the truth is, if you don't take it now, you may never get another chance. This is not to scare you, it is to wake you up. This is not just another opportunity. This is the opportunity. This is the one that changes everything, and the ones who step forward now will be the ones who walk into the abundance, the favor, the unimaginable blessings that are waiting on the other side. There are only two choices left. You step forward or you step back. There is no middle ground. There is no waiting for later. There is no time for hesitation. Because in the end, you will either be the one who moved when God said move, or you will be the one who looks back in regret, knowing you were given the chance of a lifetime and let it pass you by. And that regret, that is a weight you do not want to carry. That is a burden that never leaves. But if you step now, if you push past the fear, if you choose to believe that everything you have been through was leading to this, you will never be the same. Because once you take this final step, everything changes. Fear is the greatest thief of destiny. It creeps in when you least expect it, whispering lies that sound like logic, filling your mind with doubts that were never yours to begin with. It tells you to wait, to second guess, to stay where it's safe. It convinces you that the risk is too high, that failure is inevitable, that you are not ready. But fear is a liar. It has stolen more dreams than failure ever could. It has kept more people stagnant than any obstacle in their path. It is the invisible prison that keeps the chosen from stepping into what is already theirs. And if you don't recognize it for what it is, you will mistake it for wisdom. You will mistake it for a sign that you should turn back. But this is not the time to turn back. This is the time to stand up, to push forward, to move despite the fear screaming in your ears. Because the truth is, fear will never leave. It doesn't disappear when you become stronger. It doesn't fade when you gain more knowledge. It doesn't retreat when success comes knocking. Fear will always be there. The difference between those who step into their purpose and those who don't is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to bow to it. Every single person who has ever done something great has faced fear. Every leader, every visionary, every chosen one who has ever walked the earth has felt the weight of doubt pressing down on them. The difference is, they moved anyway. They took the step even when they weren't sure if the ground would hold them. They jumped even when they didn't know if they would land on their feet, because they understood something that most people never learn. Fear is not a stop sign, it is a test. It is the final gatekeeper standing between you and the next level of your life. It is there to see if you are truly ready, if you are truly committed, if you are truly willing to do what it takes. Most people fail right here, not because they are weak, not because they are unworthy, but because they believe the lie that fear means stop. They think the presence of fear is a sign that something is wrong, but in reality, it is proof that something is right. Fear only shows up when you are stepping into something bigger than yourself. It only rises when you are on the edge of transformation. It is a signal, not a warning. It is confirmation that you are standing at the threshold of something massive. And what you do in this moment will determine everything. You have been here before. Maybe not in this exact way, but you know what it feels like. That moment when everything in you says to go for it, but fear slams on the brakes. That moment when you feel the weight of destiny pressing against you, but doubt convinces you that you're not ready. That moment when you see the door open but hesitate to walk through it. How many times has fear held you back? How many opportunities have you let slip away because you were too afraid to move? How many moments have you looked back on with regret, knowing that if you had just taken the step, everything could have been different? This is not the time to repeat the past. This is the time to break the cycle. Fear is a voice, but it is not the truth. It tells you that you are not capable, but God says you are chosen. It tells you that you will fail, but God says He has already prepared the way. It tells you that you are alone, but God has never left your side. The only way to silence fear is to move in the opposite direction. The only way to prove it wrong is to do the very thing it says you cannot do. Fear does not go away with time. It does not disappear with more knowledge. It only loses its power when you take action. The longer you wait, the stronger it gets. The more you entertain its lies, the more real they become. But the moment you move despite it, the moment you step forward even though your heart is racing, even though your mind is screaming at you to turn back, that is the moment fear begins to lose its grip. You have a decision to make. You can let fear win again, or you can rise. You can shrink back into the comfort of the familiar, or you can step into the unknown and trust that what is waiting for you is greater than anything you are leaving behind. You can believe the lie that you are not ready, or you can believe the truth that if you weren't ready, you wouldn't be standing here right now. There is no more time to waste. There is no more room for hesitation. Every second you spend doubting yourself is a second you could be spending walking in your purpose. Every moment you let fear dictate your actions is a moment stolen from the life that was meant for you. This is not just about you. This is bigger than you. There are people connected to your obedience. There are lives that will be changed because you chose to step forward. There are doors that will open for others because you had the courage to walk through yours. Fear wants to keep you small, but you were never meant to live a small life. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to settle. The enemy knows that if you step into your calling, nothing will be able to stop you. That is why the fear is so strong. That is why the attacks have been relentless. That is why the pressure has been suffocating. Because the enemy knows what happens when a chosen one stops bowing to fear and starts moving in faith. Chains break, generations change, doors open, the impossible becomes possible. But none of that happens if you don't take the step. None of that happens if you let fear convince you to wait. Fear will always have a reason why you should delay. It will always have a reason why now is not the right time. It will always have an excuse ready. But at some point, you have to stop listening. At some point, you have to make a decision. And that decision is now. This is the moment. This is the test. This is the turning point. Will you let fear win, or will you move? Will you let another opportunity slip through your fingers, or will you finally step into what is already yours? Will you believe the lies, or will you trust that God has never failed you and He is not about to start now? The only way to defeat fear is to move forward despite it. The only way to win this battle is to take the step even when everything in you wants to turn back. Fear is the last obstacle between you and your destiny. It is the final barrier standing in your way. And right now, in this very moment, you have a choice. You can let it stop you, or you can break through it once and for all. Because the truth is, on the other side of fear is everything you have been praying for. On the other side of fear is the life you were meant to live. The question is, will you have the courage to reach for it? The weight of this moment is heavier than you realize. You stand on the edge of something greater than you have ever known. But there is a force pulling you back. It is the force of hesitation, the weight of indecision, the silent war between your spirit and your mind. You feel it deep inside, an urging, a call, a knowing that something beyond your understanding is waiting for you to step forward. But there is resistance. There is a voice telling you to wait, to question, to second-guess everything you feel inside. That voice is not God. That voice is the part of you that has been conditioned to live small. It is the part of you that has been trained to fear risk, to seek comfort, to avoid the unknown. But chosen ones do not live by comfort. They do not shrink in the face of uncertainty. They do not bow to the chains of hesitation. Chosen ones move when God speaks. They trust when nothing makes sense. They walk forward when the world tells them to stand still. You have waited long enough. You have wrestled with this moment over and over again. You have analyzed every possible outcome, calculated every risk, and searched for every excuse to delay. But there are no more excuses left. There is nothing else to analyze. You already know what you need to do. The only thing left is for you to move. This is not a moment for more thinking. This is not a time for more planning. This is the moment for action. Because every second you hesitate, you are standing in the way of what has already been set in motion for you. Every second you delay, you are making it harder for yourself. God is not waiting for you to be ready. He is waiting for you to obey. There is power in obedience. There is power in moving even when the path is unclear. There is power in stepping forward even when fear grips your heart. Because obedience is the key that unlocks the next level. It is the thing that separates those who walk in purpose from those who live in regret. God is calling you higher, but He will not force you. He will not drag you forward against your will. He has already laid the path before you, but you have to decide to walk it. He has already given you everything you need, but you have to decide to use it. The opportunity is here. The door is open. The only question is, will you walk through it? There are moments in life that define everything that comes next. Moments where one decision changes the entire course of your future. This is one of those moments. This is not just another choice. This is not just another opportunity. This is the final step before everything shifts, and you cannot afford to miss it. There is no more time to waste. There is no more room for hesitation. God is waiting for you to move, and if you do not, the opportunity will pass. That is the reality. That is the urgency. The window is open now, but it will not stay open forever. You have spent so much time wondering if you are truly ready. You have questioned if you are capable, if you are worthy, if you have what it takes. But readiness is not about knowing every step. It is not about having every detail figured out. Readiness is about trust. It is about knowing that even if you do not have all the answers, you serve a God who does. It is about understanding that even if you do not feel prepared, God has already prepared the way for you. Readiness is about stepping forward in faith, not waiting for the perfect moment. Because the perfect moment will never come. There will always be something that seems uncertain. There will always be a reason to wait. But at some point you have to decide that waiting is no longer an option. God does not reveal everything at once. He does not show you the full picture before He asks you to move. Because if He did, it would not require faith. If you could see every step, you would not need to trust Him. But chosen ones are not called to walk by sight. They are called to walk by faith. They are called to step forward when nothing makes sense. They are called to obey when the path is unclear. They are called to trust when everything in them wants to hesitate. That is what separates the chosen from everyone else. That is what makes them different. And that is what will determine whether you step into your destiny or stay stuck in hesitation. Fear will tell you to wait. It will tell you that you need more time. It will tell you that now is not the right moment. But fear is a liar, and if you listen to it, you will miss what God is trying to do in your life. You will delay what was meant to be yours. You will stay stuck in a cycle of waiting while life passes you by. But that is not your portion. That is not your calling. You were not chosen to live in hesitation. You were chosen to move in boldness. You were chosen to walk in confidence. You were chosen to trust God with everything inside of you. The moment you step forward, everything will begin to shift. The doors that seemed closed will open. The obstacles that seemed impossible will move. The things that felt out of reach will suddenly be within your grasp. Because obedience activates the promise. Movement activates the miracle. Action brings the breakthrough. But none of that happens if you stay in hesitation. None of that happens if you keep waiting for another sign, another confirmation, another assurance that everything will be okay. God has already given you everything you need. The confirmation is in the calling. The sign is in the stirring inside of you. The assurance is in the fact that you are still standing, still breathing, still here, despite everything that tried to take you out. You do not need another sign. You do not need another reason. You just need to move. The world does not wait for those who hesitate. Opportunities do not sit still forever. At some point, the window closes. At some point, the moment passes. And if you let this one slip through your fingers, you will spend years wondering what could have been. You will look back and realize that everything you wanted was right in front of you, but you were too afraid to reach for it. Do not let that be your story. Do not let hesitation steal what was meant for you. Do not let fear keep you from stepping into your calling. This is it. This is the moment. There is no more time to overthink. There is no more room for doubt. You either move now or you miss it. You either step forward or you stay exactly where you are. But you already know that staying where you are is not an option. You already know that you cannot afford to waste another second. You already know that you were meant for more. And if you are meant for more, then you have to be willing to reach for it. You have to be willing to take the step even when you cannot see the ground beneath you. You have to be willing to move even when everything in you wants to stay still, because this is the final step before the breakthrough. This is the last test before the door opens. This is the moment that changes everything, and the only thing left for you to do is move. You already know what is inside of you. You already feel it pressing against your spirit, demanding to be released. There is no more questioning, no more wondering, no more waiting for confirmation. You have carried this calling inside you for too long. It has burned in your chest, whispered in your thoughts, and shown up in every moment where you felt like you were meant for more. You cannot keep ignoring it. You cannot keep pushing it aside, thinking you have more time. Time is not promised. The only thing you have is now. And what you do in this moment determines everything that comes next. The chosen ones are not like everyone else. They are not built to blend in, to follow the crowd, to live ordinary lives filled with hesitation and regret. They move differently, think differently, feel differently. They do not wait for someone to give them permission. They do not wait for everything to be perfect. They know that when God speaks, they move. They know that when God calls, they answer. And that is what separates them from everyone else. You are at the edge of something life-changing. This is the final step before the breakthrough. This is the last test before the doors open. Everything you have gone through has prepared you for this moment. Every struggle, every setback, every tear you have cried was shaping you, molding you, strengthening you. It was never about the pain. It was never about the difficulty. It was about getting you ready for what is about to happen. Because the weight of your calling requires a different level of strength. The size of your blessing requires a different level of endurance. And God has been building you up for this exact moment. You have felt the pressure. You have felt the isolation. You have felt the battles that no one else could see. But all of it was necessary. All of it was refining you, cutting away the things that could not come with you into this next season. There were relationships that had to end. There were habits that had to be broken. There were beliefs that had to be torn down so that you could step fully into the power of who you are meant to be. It was not punishment, it was preparation. Because what is coming requires a different version of you. The old you cannot carry this blessing. The old you cannot handle this responsibility. That is why everything had to change. That is why you had to be stripped down and rebuilt. Because when you step into this next level, there is no turning back. This is where everything shifts. This is where your life begins to reflect what has been inside you all along. This is where you finally see the fruit of everything you have sacrificed, everything you have endured, everything you have believed in when no one else could see it. But you have to move now. You cannot stay in hesitation. You cannot let fear keep you stuck. Fear is a liar. Fear will tell you that you are not ready, that you do not have what it takes, that you need more time. But you already have everything you need. God has already equipped you. He has already prepared the way. The only thing left is for you to take the step. You have to stop waiting for someone else to validate what God has already confirmed. Stop looking for signs when the sign is already inside you. Stop asking for permission when God has already given you authority. You are not here by accident. There is something inside of you that the world needs, and if you do not release it, if you do not step forward, the world will never see it. And that is the greatest tragedy. Not that you failed, not that you made mistakes, but that you never even tried. Chosen ones do not live with regret. They do not stay stuck in fear. They do not let the weight of the unknown keep them from stepping into their destiny. They understand that hesitation is the enemy of purpose. They understand that waiting too long can cost them everything. They understand that there is a window of opportunity, and once it closes, there is no getting it back. This is your window. This is your moment. This is the final step before the breakthrough. You have come too far to stop now. You have fought too hard to quit now. Everything in you is screaming to move, to step forward, to take what is already yours, and you cannot ignore it any longer. You cannot silence that voice inside you any longer, because that voice is not just a thought. It is a calling. It is a destiny. It is a divine assignment that only you can complete. You cannot let distractions keep you from moving. You cannot let the opinions of people who do not understand your calling hold you back. You cannot keep explaining yourself to people who were never meant to see what God placed inside of you. Some people will never understand why you move the way you do. Some people will never understand why you think the way you do. And that is okay. They were not chosen for this. They were not called for this. You were. God has placed something inside you that is meant to shift the world. But it cannot happen if you keep hesitating. It cannot happen if you keep doubting yourself. It cannot happen if you keep delaying what was meant to be released. You have everything you need. You have everything it takes. You just have to trust what is already inside you. This is the moment where you decide. This is the moment where you choose if you will walk in your calling or if you will let fear steal what was meant for you. No one else can make this choice for you. No one else can take this step for you. It is you and God now. It is you and the path He has set before you. And the only thing left is for you to move. You do not need another reason. You do not need another confirmation. You do not need another moment to think about it. The decision has already been made. You just have to walk in it. The promise is already there. The blessing is already prepared. The only thing left is for you to step into it. This is not just about you. This is about everything connected to you. This is about the people who need what is inside you. This is about the lives that will be changed because you decided to move. This is about the impact that only you can make, because when a chosen one moves, the world shifts. When a chosen one steps into their calling, generations are changed. When a chosen one obeys the voice of God, nothing can stop what happens next. This is the moment that changes everything. This is the moment that changes everything. This is the final step before the breakthrough. You have waited long enough. You have prepared long enough. You have prayed long enough. Now is the time to step forward. Now is the time to move. Now is the time to do what you were created to do. Because God is waiting, and He is not waiting for you to feel ready. He is waiting for you to trust Him enough to take the step.